Hi, Misha here, and just finished recording a Blackbox for the main Mishaco channel. This will probably be the last Blackbox I record, at least about 2023. I might do one more Blackbox right before New Year, but that'll be about next year, 2024, and hopes, plans for the future. This video is just to say hi, really. It's been a couple weeks since I've done an earnest Blackbox. And just to reflect back on this year. Although, frankly, just looking at the black boxes themselves kind of gives an idea of how this year went. And it really didn't go to plan. In fact, in some ways, this has been the hardest year of my life in quite some time. I wouldn't say ever. That's a bit much to say. I've had a life with many ups and downs, but this has been a more difficult year even than like 2020, if I'm being frank. And I think that's because going forward there was so much promise made for this year. So many companies promised that things would happen. I've already discussed that in past black boxes. They completely ghosted me, and just opportunities that didn't happen. And it's one thing when you screw the pooch, when you mess it up, then it can be a learning experience, even though you get mad at yourself. But when you had no part in something not going forward, there's nothing to learn there. At least that's kind of what I thought. But reflecting back on the year, I would say the lesson to learn has just been perseverance and even maybe patience. Perseverance I'm pretty good at. Patience, well, I'm better at it as I'm older compared to being younger, but it's still not my strength. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know where things are going. Unlike this time last year, I don't have any leads. Everything is dissolved and nothing's really replaced it. And everyone in my life is so busy. From my wife, to my immediate family, to my friends. Now that everyone's back to work, it seems like they're working 60, 70-hour weeks. And can't blame them. It's what one has to do to make a living in this day and time with the economy the way it is. But it also leaves people with very little free time. And it quite frankly leaves them very, very tired. And there's not much I can say. There's nothing I can do to help. And I don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling impotent. I don't like feeling unable to help or support someone. It's been a trying year. It's been a rough year. But at the same time, I've survived it. And we all have. And sometimes just surviving is enough. Sometimes it's not. But in a year that when it started I had high hopes of really pushing things forward, traveling, going places, none of that happened. In fact, I feel more disconnected in 2023, and I know this sounds strange, than I did in 2020. But in that, I suppose there's life lessons as well. But boy, I really hope 2024 is at least a little more of something. Less promises that evaporate and more unexpected surprises that are good. Because that would sure be nice. I'm not needing anything earth-shattering to happen, but a little bit of positive would go a long way right now. And I mentioned this for the main Mishaco channel Blackbox, but I probably won't be buying mini guns for a while because of the cabin project and by extension the shooting range. And that goes for this personal channel too. I Probably won't be buying mini aircraft models or even figure models. Obviously, they don't impact my budget like a gun would, but I just don't. When I look at them, even when Master Replicas had some new things come in that did interest me, you know, when I have a project in mind, when I know I'm saving up for something, I have a very hard time spending money on anything except bare essentials. Heck, this year, one thing I wanted was a leather coat, and I was going to go buy myself one. And I have some. That's one article of clothing I actually do like, is having some nice leather things. Even that I ended up going cheap on. I ended up actually getting one of my father's that my mother found in the closet. She found like 6 jackets of his she didn't know were in the back of a closet, and I parsed out 2 or 3 others to family, gave my wife a raincoat, and kept a leather coat for me. So, I mean, it's practically new condition. He probably never wore it anyway. But even there I did kind of cheap. But at the same time, I will be having fun finishing up building the cabin, outfitting the shooting range, furnishing the cabin. There'll be plenty of areas for me to waste money on. Don't you worry. But new figures, new models, I'm not going to say I'm not going to get any, but I'm probably going to severely curtail. Really just getting things that of extreme interest to me. But I can always go back and do fleet reviews and things that I've already done. Recently did a look at the Eagle Moss BSG fleet again, and that got good views for this channel, which made me happy. And I can do other types, and of course I can always do black boxes, and eventually can start doing videos from out at the cabin. That's the one good thing that really came out of this year, is the cabin, and that was even trying. The first 2 builders I had lined up really into last year and beginning this year flaked out, and then even a 3rd builder I had nut out there in September flaked out. And then right at the end of the year, finally a builder who so far is working out, knock on wood. I'm so honestly burned right now on that whole thing that I'm having a hard time believing something will actually work. But again, he has done the foundation, he's done the flooring, and we're about to start on the walls and the roof. So if nothing else, it's going to be at least a box, wooden enclosed box soon. And hopefully that goes forward. Really needs to, though. Because if something falls through there, guys, I mean, I'll get through. I'm a durable person. But that would throw me for a loop. I'm not going to lie. I've been patient. And, yeah. So, but I'm trying not to think that negative. Because being always pessimistic is really self-defeating. It's really a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. If you always expect people to do you wrong, if you always expect things to go their worst, you can probably find a way to manage to make that happen. So I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. And that's kind of how I've even approached work. Even though a lot of things didn't work out this year, I still, every time a new opportunity was presented to me, tried to approach it and tried to embrace it, and it just didn't work. And one of them actually happened to a friend of mine. It was really bad. I can't tell the story now. Maybe one day I can. But he was done very, very dirty by someone. There's a lot of things like that. Maybe one day I'll write a tell-all book about some of the behind-the-scenes gun stuff. But for what it's worth, I keep my confidences. Part of it is, if you don't, people don't trust you. But part of it is, and the more important part to me, is just the morally right thing to do. And that might sound naive or old-fashioned, but I actually do believe in, objective right and wrong and morality and a code of conduct and dare I say it, a sense of honor, a sense of just that's the honorable thing to do. For example, I don't like talking bad about people behind their backs. I'm not saying I never do it. It's an ideal, not a perfect thing that I'm always living, but that's my ideal. That's what I try to live up to. And hope I do it more often than that I fail at it. Same thing with business. I try to run a business in an honorable way. I probably don't always succeed. In fact, I'm sure I don't. But I try to tell people the truth about guns I have and whatnot. And I can say when I don't do it right, I do feel bad about it. Like, for example, a guy got a gun off of me, and it came with 2 mags, and I said that the mag, the mag in the gun matched the serial numbers, and I said the other mag was original. He took that to mean that the other mag, the second mag, had a serial number that matched the gun. I never said that because I didn't see it didn't have a mismatched number. It didn't have a number at all. And I do think it is original to the gun in the sense that the person I got it from said he bought the gun new. So, I don't know. I just kind of assumed that the second larger mag was not serialized. Maybe it's supposed to be, maybe it's not. But I felt kind of bad that got misconstrued in his head. But that's why you always ask questions too if you have anything like that. Because I certainly don't know everything about what I sell. Sometimes you just don't know things. Looking for proof marks, for example. Lugers are always a pain in the arse for me to sell because there's always so many things about Lugers that'll get you. But yeah, it's not too cold out here tonight, not compared to what it has been. How about you? How was everyone's 2023? Did you have a good year? How'd work go? It's been a pretty rough year family-wise for me too. We had a family member pass away in early March, and my father-in-law, my wife's father, is not much longer until that's over. And at this point, it's kind of getting to the point of it'll probably be a relief. I mean, no one wants to admit that, but you get to that certain threshold when the quality of life just isn't there. Heck, even my mother's dog, who, to be fair, has lived to a ripe old dog age of 13, going on 14 in a few months. But even now, the dog might have passed, but she's getting to the point where the dog won't eat or drink water much, and it's kind of looking for a hole. And that's what they do. Nothing you can do about it. Again, that's a good age for a dog. But when we take responsibility for a dog or a cat or any other animal in hopes we will outlive them. And as I told her, I have no answers. I had to hold my cat while he died last year. And that was rough. But the only solace is in their minds, in their lives, that dog, that cat never lost us. Like when they went to sleep for the last time, we were there. So that's my thing, is I want to be there at the end. Now, what I'd feel really bad is if an animal of mine died at home when I wasn't there. I mean, sometimes you just can't be. I'm not blaming anyone who isn't. Sometimes it just happens and you find them. But if you can be there at the end, and they want you there. I mean, some dogs want to go off in the yard and be alone. That's all right. But at the end, at least know they, in their own way, they know that they were loved and that they were never abandoned. Because that's what I see in animals, is that fear of abandonment. Especially with ours. The animals we've always had have been rescue animals. And, they get anxiety. But I don't know. I don't know how my mother's going to take it. I don't think she'll get another dog after this one, though. But that means she'll be living truly alone now. And that's sad. But I don't know. Getting older, guys. It's inevitable. Then in some ways there are good aspects. I find that I'm able to take challenges more in stride now. I really find that as I get older, I'm able to be more empathetic and understand other people better and not get my feelings hurt as much. And I'm better to put myself in their shoes. And in some ways, I do find myself more patient, and I do find myself able to just relax and take a day off more. And I do find that I appreciate evenings with friends and family more, because sometimes you know that that's a limited commodity. But on the other hand, you start to see things slip away, loved ones and time, and of course youth in and of itself slip away. This is something I've been dealing with for a couple of years, and I'm starting to see my wife deal with it too, realizing that you're getting older. But of course, you don't have to accept it at that. Yes, physically, externally, you can get older, but inside, deep down, we kind of control the age of our heart and minds. I don't mean to be pedantic, but I've met 70-year-olds who are just big kids. And I tell you what, they seem to enjoy life a hell of a lot more than these 70-year-olds that just take themselves and life super serious. Life is serious, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying being frivolous. But you can be serious about life and still have fun. And that's the balance I try to find. Again, that's the ideal. Doesn't mean I'm always successful, Lord knows. But, yeah. And just a couple of good friends this year have had hard knocks. One of them's having a really hard time getting full-time employment, which sucks. I have no words for him. I can't help. I wish I could. But, sometimes with that, all you can do is just tell him, I see you, I see your problems, I witness it. Someone else out there is aware of what you're going through. And sometimes I hope that's enough, or at least that's something. Again, it's been a trying year, but I'm still here. You are too, because you're listening to this. And if you've had a year like this, I am empathetic. But we'll all get through it. We'll all get through it. My concern is for 2024, it being an election year. Remember how bad things got at the end of 2020 and 2021, the beginning. And I think we can all agree that no matter which side of the aisle you're on, which political aspect, which color state, it was a very serious, very stressful, very divisive and derisive time. And if I could hope for one thing, it would be not to go through that again. I'm not saying we shouldn't disagree. Disagreement is good. Conversation is good. But that level of vitriol and absolute dismissive disgust that one side showed against the other, and then the other side showed against the other one, and back and forth, and how those things built upon each other over and over and over until there's this giant wall. Instead of just discussion and realizing, you know what, we're all a lot alike. We might have different attitudes about certain key issues, but you know what? We've all been born. Most of us have families. We have loved ones. We've had loss. We've had joy. We all have a common human experience, and from that point we can build on. And what I've found in my life is, even if I don't end up agreeing with someone, I can agree to respectfully disagree with them and shake their hand and walk away feeling no malice at all. And I think that's just kind of the time I grew up in too. The 90s were the time of conversation, compromise, and frankly centrism. But now being centrist, now being a moderate, is quite negative. In fact, I'm sure some of you are thinking that right now. But why is that the case? I understand that people want others to be in their convictions, but that's being idealistic. You have to compromise and be in the real world too, just as I've been talking about throughout this video. I have my ideals that I try to hold myself, and yes, others too as well. But when I and others fall short, I don't cancel them. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I try to use it as a learning experience, as I'm sure you do too. And that allows me to be friends with people on the other side. Heck, I've got family members on both sides. And as I've said many times, those people are worth more to me than abstract political ideologies. Because at the end of the day, me, you, we're not in Washington, D.C., or even probably our state capital. We can't affect government much more than voting, maybe calling a representative down again. And I'm not saying don't do that stuff. Not at all. But realize you've done what you can do and move on with life. What we can do, though, is make those around us have a better or worse day. If we answer the phone with a bad attitude, and sometimes I do it too. I'm not blaming you. We're all doing it. Yeah, but we can make someone's day better or worse. We can make our community a little bit better, a little bit worse. And that's a direct impact we can have weekly, daily. That matters a lot more, in my opinion, than what our position is on some international political thing. I hope that makes sense. And sometimes if you just disagree with someone on something, just don't start up the conversation. Or if they start it up, if they're the ones initiating, try to steer it somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, if people are set in stone about what they believe, where they believe it, they're not going to change your mind, you're not going to change their. And unless you just love arguing and getting your blood pressure up, which I'm too old to do that. I'm at the point where getting hot under the collar is literally a health risk. I'd rather not. I'd rather talk about good times. I'd rather laugh. The only line I'd draw is if someone hates this country, hates freedom, and I don't mean that in a cliche way. I mean literally just, wants to be authoritarian. If someone does have that kind of level of hate and duplicity in them, then I won't stand for that. But I'd probably just avoid such people because I'm not going to change them. I have no reason to want to, even debate them because they're too far gone. And I wanted to mention that because I know 2024 is going to have some trying times. 2023 did. And it's not even an election year. And I know things will get hot. And I know people will argue. That's human nature. That's politics. How always has been, always will be. But what happened at the end of 2020 and 2021, that is unprecedented. That level of division shouldn't be allowed again. We've got to do better. We've got to be more adult. We've got to talk. Part of it is just moral and emotional. Part of it is just being effective. When you're that divided, the country doesn't get governed. When a side is so stuck in its ways, so sure it's right, nothing gets done. Taxpayer money gets wasted, and real issues get avoided. I'm afraid, guys. So even beyond my own life, I do feel I love my community. I love the people around me. I don't want to see more suffering at the end of the day. Life's too short. At least I think so. And that's my ultimate takeaway from getting older, is to try to value those things more and more, to try to savor the good times and really let people know what they mean. And when you really reflect on that, it kind of pushes abstract, removed political things to the side. You know what I mean? Anyway, like I said, I haven't had money or even the will to buy new action figures or models. So this is where we're at, guys. This is why I like to do sometimes those casual things. It keeps my mind off the heavy stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm not sure when I'll publish this video, but it'll be around the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. So before or after, how's your Christmas? How'd it go? How is it going to go? What do you want for Christmas? Or what'd you get for Christmas? Or what'd you get your kids for Christmas? Or your mother or your father? What's your New Year's plans? Or what did you do for New Year's, and how hungover are you? And most importantly, what's your New Year's resolution? Let's discuss below. But yeah, I just wanted to do one more video about 2023. I'm glad I survived it. And it wasn't all bad. Far from it. There were good days this year. But that said, as it comes to a close, piss off 2023. Hey 2024, do better. This is Misha, and wishing everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a great start to 2024.